Thank you so much, gentlemen of the press. I called you to make a statement in regards to three issues, and I will start with the delay of salaries. I want to apologize on behalf of the Ministry of Finance and Planning to our civil servants, to our organized forces, for the delay that happened in paying July and August salaries. And I want to clearly say that the Ministry of Finance did not intend by any means to delay the salaries of our civil servants and organized forces. The delay happened because of three factors. First, the slight delay that happened during the discussion of the budget, the fiscal budget of 2023-2024. You know, it was supposed to be passed earlier, but it took a bit longer because of the discussion around the 400% and the 600%. Lately, it was approved by the end of July, and that means July was not paid. The other factor was incorporation of this increment to our payrolls. You know, we don't prepare the payrolls. The payrolls are prepared by spending agencies. And in that regard, all the spending agencies have been trying their best to incorporate the increment and adjust their payrolls, and then submission is done to the Ministry of Finance for a final approval and payment. The other thing that delayed the payment of the salaries is the biometric system, and this is based on the Council of Ministers Resolution number 84 for 2022 for the adoption of the user and system requirement for the national payroll system. So the Ministry of Finance, together with the Ministry of Public Service, are setting up a biometric system for all our workforce. And that procedure takes a bit longer because we have to incorporate the data into a system. We have to also procure all the equipments and then now adjust the system for the biometric to take place everywhere in the country. We are doing this with the help of the World Bank. They are assisting us partially in this process. But that is the reason why we delayed in paying the salaries. There is no intent. We have not run out of cash completely to pay your salaries. We are following procedures to be able to pay you your salaries on time. And as I promised in my reception speech, I'm for the timely payment of salaries and wages to all our public servants and armed forces. There is no reason why you should suffer while rendering services to your respective institutions. It is our duty as the Minister of Finance to pay your salaries and wages. So we are keenly monitoring your conditions, and we are so much concerned about the suffering our workforce are going through. And in few days, we will actually be in position to pay your salaries. So that is a statement on the first item, the delay of the salaries. I want to make a statement also generally on the general economic overview. Since I came in, a month and couple of weeks, I have been trying my best, coordinating with all the relevant institutions, including the monetary aspect of the economy, the central bank, and we are working in collaboration and in harmony with all these institutions, including the Ministry of Trade, to make sure the prices of essential commodities in the market are affordable. We know the dollar rate keeps fluctuating, but we have managed to at least stabilize at a rate that is not appreciated. Of course, we are not happy about the rate, but you know, it goes through a supply and demand kind of activity in the market. So we need to be patient also. As we increase the supply of USD to the market, the price of the dollar will decrease. And as a result, a stability or equilibrium in our foreign exchange market may be realized. It may not be fast, but we are moving towards that. So we are working so hard with the central bank to make sure there is enough dollars in the market so that the parallel market does not act parallel even to our economic policies. We are also monitoring the conditions of our citizens in all the country, including the returnees that are coming from Sudan. We know they are going through a lot. And in that regard, I want to thank the Minister of Humanitarian and Disaster Management and other development partners that are working day and night to make sure our returnees are back to their homes and are fed adequately. So we are concerned as a ministry, and that is why we have been providing the little we have to the Minister of Humanitarian in order to be able to cater for transportation of our returnees. Generally, things will improve as we go gradually with our plans, the short-term plans we have put in place. I'll be in a position to communicate to you the details of my short plans that I have put in place. But we are concerned and we are concentrating on the foreign exchange market, the prices of essential goods, and payment of salaries, and working towards stabilizing our economy. The last statement that I want to make is in regards to Caltech deal, the Caltech negotiation. Caltech is an American-based company that we entered into discussion from August this year. You know, and the name Caltech, by the way, it is not Caltech by K, it is Caltech, C-A, not by K. And it is an American-based corporation, as I said. We started the initial discussion in August, and we have so far not reached an agreement as circulated in the social media. So I got the news when I was in DC. I was traveling, connecting to Dubai, and there was no ample time for me to respond. I just arrived this morning, and I said it is important for the ministry to clarify on this issue. So I want to say that we have not signed a deal with Caltech Corporation. What happened, for me to elaborate, when you want to borrow money from an entity or a financial institution, it goes through a process. First, you start with a letter of intent, then letter of expression of interest, then acceptance letter. When this preliminary kind of procedure is done, you table the intention now before the loan committee that is headed by the Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning. The loan committee will deliberate and then send an official letter to the central bank for due diligence to make sure that the company is capable, and then the background of the company and their ability to provide the loan is done. These are also procedures. When the due diligence is done, then the loan itself will be tabled before the Council of Ministers for discussion. The discussion will take on a period of time, and when it is approved, then the ministry will take it to the Legislative Assembly for more deliberation and approval. And when it is approved by the National Legislative Assembly, then other requirements are also done on the process before the money is sent or wired to the Minister of Finance of the country or the borrower. So you can see this is a long process, and it does not just happen overnight. What happened in New York, this is where the company operates, not fully in New York, but in the United States. So the CEO, who is Mohammed Malik, not Malik, as I have seen it. The correct name is Malik, with I-Q-U-E, not with I-K. Called me and said, is it possible that I can see your president? And I said, yes, why not? I facilitated the meeting with the president, and that was a courtesy visit from the corporation to our president in his residence in New York. They came, they had a very short time with the president just to introduce themselves and enlighten the president about our discussion, because it is an ongoing discussion. We have not even finished the preliminary part of this deal. We are still at the level of intent and level of expression of interest. So after meeting the president, we made a statement that this is Caltech, just an introduction. Caltech is an American-based corporation. It is not even an oil-producing or oil kind of company. It is a corporation that deals in assets, in finance, in many other investments, not in the United States alone, but all over the world. So this is a company that is well-renowned with a history of business and reputation in dealing in businesses all over the world. And that introduction was taken to the media in a different manner. People started saying we have signed an agreement with Caltech, which they did not even see themselves, because there were no papers and there were no initials from our side and the Caltech side. This was just a brief meeting between a corporation that is interested to invest in South Sudan, and a head of state opening his arms to more corporations and more diplomatic ties with governments and financial or in business entities all over the world. So our president was too open to the Americans-based companies, to the American government, to other heads of states that came to New York. He met actually several of them, not only Caltech. We only met the president for a brief meeting of not more than 3 minutes. And it should not be interpreted as a deal done, because how can it be a deal done while we have not actually passed all the procedures that will lead to the end of the deal itself? Initially, we requested Caltech to provide us $3 billion. That is true. But they are yet to accept, or they are yet to confirm if they have ability to give us $3 billion. Our intention is to use 1.2 billion for buying the shares of Petronas, which is withdrawing from our oil sector. Our intention also was to use, or still is, to use 1.8 billion for infrastructure and for other government budgetary plans, not paying salaries, of course, but meeting developmental projects. So I would want to confirm that we have a negotiation with Caltech, which is an American-based corporation. We are yet to sign any deal with them because we are still at the initial phase. And that is what I told the press when I landed this morning, that yes, there is an ongoing discussion between us and the Caltech group, but we are yet to sign any agreement. I want to tell the public that when we finish the procedures, the due procedures in acquiring loan, we will come to you clearly and state where we have reached and how the progress in the deal is ongoing. Of course, there is no restriction on where to get funds from. All over the world, government and entities borrow from those who have excess. And it is a fact that we are in deficit. Deficit in financing our infrastructure, deficit in our meeting our obligations, the developmental obligations and prosperity of our people. And it is a sovereign right for South Sudan to borrow from anywhere. So there is no question of us accessing any loan from anywhere. Even in United States government borrow money from different institutions or governments. So we are intending to borrow, and that is just a fact. Not only from Caltech, we are even outsourcing from multinational corporations and other international financial institutions. We are negotiating with different people. Even in United States, by the way, we do not only met with Caltech, we met with different other institutions. And the discussions are on this. We are well progressing. There are developments that happened even this morning in my discussions with these investments and corporations. So I know the news were met with excitement, and I don't want to demoralize you. The deal is ongoing and it has not failed, just that we have not finalized it, and it is important for you to know that the money is not yet ready there. The clarification that we will receive 400 million and then another 400 million, this is a proposal from us. We are saying if you agree to give us 1.8, why don't you divide it this way instead of spreading it over 3 years? So these are also items in our discussions, and we have not yet reached that level of receiving 400 million or receiving 800 million. So to our public, let's remain calm. Let's take things easy. It is a process. It does not just happen overnight. We will get fund. Definitely, we will get money. I don't know when, but as far as the ministry is concerned, we are engaging different institutions, and we believe with time we will be able to fund all our activities and lead our transition towards a peaceful elections coming 2024. So these are the few things that I wanted to highlight so that the public is in picture on what happened in New York and why the salaries has delayed and what we are doing to actually stabilize our economy and also make sure our people live in peace and facilitate the implementation of the agreement and the activities of the government, and our readiness to pay salaries as soon as we finish these procedures. And as I said, in few days. We are not going to take weeks. We are going to pay according to the adjusted payroll of 400%. And I believe this will change a little bit of your conditions. I know it is not enough, but we are doing everything we can to support your livelihood and your economic activities. Thank you so much.
May you mind telling us this string attached? You say it is a long-term loan.
We are the borrower, the government of South Sudan, and we are borrowing straight from Caltech. Caltech is not a kind of intermediaries. Caltech is a multi-billion company, renowned worldwide. They have their investments and they have assets, and they are the one lending to us the 3 billion. The 3 billion comes as a long-term loan because, as I said, we have not yet reached any form of agreement, but I will talk from the perspective of Minister of Finance. We want them to give us a loan of of 3 billion for 3 years, for a period of 13 years. 5 years will be a grace period, and then the repayment period, which is a maturity period, will be 8 years. So the total will be 13 years. And there is no strings attached. The interest rate is known when you are borrowing money, and we are actually proposing 1.5% to be the interest. If they go beyond, we are not going to finalize this deal. There are no arrangers in between. There are no middlemen at all. This is a direct discussion between the ministry and Caltech as a multi-billion corporation.